Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Julie Mann and I am a professional network marketer, an actor, and I'm also an EFT practitioner. And I'm really excited because today I'm joined by Cheyenne Gooding. Hi Cheyenne.
Hello. Hi, Julie.
How are you doing?
Really good, thank you. Really great.
So I know that you work as a marketing consultant at Biodome System.
Yeah.
But firstly, before you tell us about that, I'd really love to know a little bit more about you so that people can get kind of a bigger picture of who you are. So obviously you're someone who really loves to give back. That I know about you. And I also know that in 2013 you were a scout leader.
Yes.
Had you been a Girl Scout for a long time?
I had never been a Girl Scout, but I wanted to do, but I can't even remember how I got into it, to be honest, like what the whole story is. But I just, I think I had a friend that was a leader, a Cub Scout leader, and I got speaking to them and they were like, come along. And I came along and then I was like, oh, I could do this. So I went for the training and I was so young and because I'd never done it myself, I don't think I was very good at it, to be honest. But I did learn a lot about, I think it was like my first experience of being responsible for other lives. It was like, hold on, Cheyenne, like if you're going to do this, you're responsible for these kids that are showing up. So you better sort yourself out. But I was like such an irresponsible teen at that point that I don't think I was any good. But yeah, that's what I did. It was
Oh my
fun.
goodness. I remember when I was young that I joined the Brownies and I only really wanted to join them because I wanted the uniform.
Yeah.
And when I joined, I went a few times and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Anyway, that was my very short experience with the Brownies, but I know other Brownies absolutely love it. So one of the things that you and I both have in common is that we both participated in the Landmark Forum. And in fact, I've participated in a number of programs that Landmark Education run. So what made you, some people might not know what it is and we don't have to explain what it is, but it's a self-development program, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really based around a conversation about who we are and why we do things that we do, and then we can look at ways that we can do things differently because we see different things. We see our blind spots, don't we, in that 3-day course. What made you do it and what did you get out of it?
Yeah. So I had a lot of friends that had gone to do the Landmark Forum, and I was on another kind of business mentorship program, and a lot of those people were coming out of this weekend very different, just so at ease with themselves. But one particular conversation that stood out for me is that I was speaking to a friend in a queue and she was like, I just got back from telling my dad he's not my dad, and just the whole kind of drama. But she seemed so at ease about it all. Just there was nothing kind of upsetting about it that she was left with. And I said, but how are you so comfortable about all of this? And she said, honey, go and do the Landmark Forum. So that was my first kind of, what's this thing? And then I had friends that would just share with me and say, Cheyenne, I really think you should do this, and really encourage me. And finally I was like, do you know what, I'm into personal development anyway, let's go do it. I don't even think I knew at the time what exactly the discussion was going to be throughout the weekend. I just knew that it had made a difference to them and I was up for it. So that's how I got to doing it. And then it's transformed my life in so many ways. I think just the tools have just enabled me to really deal with life powerfully. With all this COVID, for example, and the lockdown and pandemic, and I had just moved from London to Worthing, the South Coast, at the start of the pandemic, and to start a new business. And it basically failed. And if it wasn't for this work, the Landmark work, I wouldn't have been able to powerfully deal with that and now create the career that I have. So that's just one aspect. But yeah, it's been an incredible transformational journey.
Amazing. I mean, I did it about 25 years ago and I never thought I would get the outcome that I wanted, but I got it and so much more. And it's actually, life is never the same afterwards in a good way.
Yeah.
You have the tools to deal with life differently, don't you?
Yeah.
So I know that this year you volunteered with St. Peter's. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so as part of, so my faith is Christianity, and as part of moving from London to the South Coast, I also joined a new church community, and that's St. Peter's in Brighton. And they're just an awesome just community, and the difference they make to the community is just so proactive. And so throughout the lockdown, particularly the first lockdown, we were giving out food packages through the Love Thy Neighbour initiative, which is actually a national initiative. But through that initiative, we just handing out food parcels to local hostels. And I really just, I was able, so I thought, let's lend a hand. And yeah, that's really the story behind that.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So it's obvious, from what it is that you do now, that you have a keen interest in the environment. Did you always have an interest in the environment? Did you grow up caring about it, thinking about it?
Not, absolutely not. No, but what I do now is working with biodome systems. I sell these systems to schools throughout the UK that allow children to, as you say, learn about the environment, about sustainability. But inside of gardening, they also learn about responsibility and other subjects that surround that. And I met Jamie, who's the CEO of Biodome Systems, about 5 years ago. And I was just so inspired by his journey and these domes that I just saw this vision of them making such a difference to not only the schools, but the communities around them. And inside of taking on this project and working with Jamie, I've started to learn about the environment and become passionate about learning about it. But more to the point, I'm more excited about the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm learning and reading up more on their goals overall versus just focusing on environment. But there is this awesome app that the UN do, and it's called, what's it called? And I think it's called like Another World or something. I can't remember the name of the app, but maybe you can link it below. Sure. And it just, each day, it gives you these tasks to make you aware of the impact you have around you. But there's small tasks that you can just take on to that make a difference as a collective. And so through that, I've been learning more and more and becoming more passionate about the impact that we have as individuals and as a whole to our environment. So
Amazing.
A bit of a long-winded answer to that.
No. You can talk for as long as you like about it. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Also interested, before we talk specifically why would someone have a biodome, tell us about your journey actually, to getting to be a marketing consultant for Biodome.
Yeah, do you know, I've always been kind of passionate entrepreneur and tried different things, and I had a property management business in London just before moving to the South, well, not just before, but before moving to the South Coast anyway. And I've always just been inspired by innovators and just the whole world of that buzz of entrepreneurship. So I've tried different things throughout the years, but I've always been good at sharing what I'm passionate about. And I've always had a keen eye for noticing opportunities, I guess, where maybe some wouldn't see an opportunity in order to, what do I want to say, like share about their product or service. So when I joined, first partnered with Jamie in 2015, I saw this opportunity to partner with like the Royal Horticulture Society and the Jamie Oliver Food Foundation Society, because what their values are and their goals are really aligned with what we're up to at Biodomes. And they really welcomed us in, and I wrote like a blog post, and that went viral throughout the schools, and we got so many schools that were just like, we want one of these, and getting interested in it. So I don't, you know, I think it's my passion for wanting to make a difference and my kind of enthusiasm around entrepreneurship that's led me to this role as a marketing consultant with Jamie. And also, I kind of just made up the name, if I'm being honest. Like, I was like, well, what can you call me? You know, call me what you want. Like, and that kind of fitted. But Jamie's like, you know, Cheyenne, just get on with it, whatever, and kind of thing. So,
Oh, I love
yeah.
that. I love that. So obviously, you know, you talked about being enthusiastic and being good at sharing, but you know, life isn't always plain sailing, is it? And there are ups and downs. So what has been, you know, the most difficult challenge that you've ever had to overcome, and how did you get through that?
Um, oh, that's a interesting question. Most difficult. I think it's just ongoing. Like it's the mindset, you know, the thinking, the constantly knowing that I'm good enough and showing up as that. And that takes constant work, as I'm sure anyone would understand, and anyone that's up to something big will understand as well. And I, you know, through tools like Landmark and through my faith in Christianity and God, that's how I basically that I use those tools to overcome it constantly and to keep reminding myself and affirmations about who I am. And so I don't know that I fully have, I can't say, you know, that I fully overcome it, but that's, I'd say, the biggest challenge for me throughout as a theme throughout my life so far in career.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's never, you know, it's never a done deal, is it? It's all, you know, every single day we get new challenges, and you know, and if we have stepped out of our comfort zone, we're going to start to get comfortable, and then it's like, what's next? If you're really up to something, it's about taking those bigger steps, and those bigger steps often kind of tap into the part of us that perhaps thinks that we're not good enough, or who am
Yeah.
I to do something like that, you know. Brilliant.
Exactly, especially when you take on something new as well, which I tend to do a lot of. And whenever, you know, it's this imposter syndrome. Whenever you go into a new field, and there's always going to be people that are ahead of you and maybe more experienced, and so it's always this constant, yeah, like you say, constant journey.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a lot of people watching who can relate to that. And you know, comparing ourselves to others is just, you know, kills everything, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
So tell us why someone would, you know, why would a school want Biodome?
Mm. So, you know, that's not like a one straight answer. The schools, different schools take them for and take on a biodome for so many different reasons. And for the last few weeks, I've been speaking to over 300 schools actually. And, you know, each school is in such a different place, and we're all dealing with the same thing, which is COVID, right? But I tend to, rather than say what I think the school would want them, I tend to just listen to what is the school up to. And though saying that, what the biodomes do impact and have proven to impact Ofsted. So, you know, some of our schools have gone from needing improvement or requires improvement to outstanding from taking on the biodome. And it's not necessarily the biodome that's directly impacted it, but it's the morale that the biodome brought to the school. So it, you know, transforms leadership. It can transform the enthusiasm that children have around learning. So the biodomes are particularly centered around STEM subjects, which are science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And so the schools have their lessons inside of these biodomes rather than in a classroom. And so, as you can imagine, a little child is like so excited to get outdoors and actually get hands-on. And so they're learning, and their passion for learning just like it just expands, you know, and so that improves their grades. And so so Ofsted, and then healthy eating, because young children are starting to learn, particularly in biodome schools, where food is actually coming from. They get enthusiastic about vegetables because they actually see it growing, and they're like, oh, that's like a cucumber, it's amazing. And we're talking primary school level here, not necessarily secondary school. And and then, yeah, again, the environment and sustainability. So our biodomes are solar powered. And so through the science lessons, the children get to learn about, you know, solar and energy. And then also we have a system, which is a form of an ecosystem. And it teaches children about basically the ecosystem of growing fruit and vegetables, and the ecosystem of how fish impact food, and just the whole system, and where we come into that ecosystem. But it's a hands-on experience, so there's so much that, you know, value that is available. And just one final thing I'll share is that one of our schools have managed to grow produce that would allow them to make £7,000 back into the school, and give the produce to the homeless at the local homeless shelter, and feed it into their local kitchens. So my passion is that that will happen throughout the UK, particularly in deprived areas.
That's quite amazing, Shane, isn't it? That's really quite a remarkable, far-reaching impact. And
Yeah.
you know, what school doesn't want the heads to have a great report? You know,
Yes,
sure, if
exactly.
there are any heads or teachers listening, you know, I mean, that's extraordinary. And of course, it's not just, you know, you have healthy children, you get happier parents, you know, and they grow up with all those skills. I mean, it's really huge. And there I was thinking it would just be a structure and some plants in it, you know. So
No.
brilliant. I love that. I know you've touched a little bit on probably the question that I'm about to ask you, but what would you say, of all the things that you do, what do you love most?
Oh, that's a tough question, because I actually love everything I do. Because you know, that's part of, actually, it's part of the learning I got from Landmark, is to create your life, and I really live a created life. And I also study psychology and counseling full time, and I absolutely love learning about the human um, behavior and human brain, and I love learning about mental health and the difference that I can potentially make there. So, but I love speaking to schools about the biodomes, you know. So yeah, I don't know, I can't answer that with one straight question. I love everything I'm up to, because I choose it.
And that's such an inspiring thing, really, to say, because there will be people watching who perhaps don't love what they do, and they haven't found a way to really live a life that fulfills them doing some of the things that they want to do, because, you know, maybe they've got to get the money in, and you know, they've kind of given up on their dreams. So that's really amazing. I have to ask you, Sharon, what are on those sticky fixes on the wall?
So, yeah, so as part of my deepening my faith and developing in that area, I've started to post just Bible verses that just speak out to me, and that I want to remember, and that are empowering throughout my day. Because, as you know, working from home is such a challenge, and not being around others. And so I just thought, let me make it a bit pretty by putting these pink sticky notes with empowering Bible verses. So that's what they are.
Brilliant. So is your intention to completely cover the walls behind you?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Eventually.
What is your vision for the future?
Well, my vision is to, personally and career-wise, is to make a difference to, and directly impact the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and to take on projects that directly impact that. And that may be in charity sector, that can be through projects or, you know, businesses like Biodome Systems, but Biodome Systems was really just the beginning of that for me. And so that's the long-term vision. And with Biodome Systems particularly, my long-term vision is to, for the next, say, year to 18 months, is to have these in 100 schools throughout the UK, and to partner with, you know, companies, large organizations that really want to impact those sustainable goals at a grassroots level. So that's the kind of, yeah, vision for that. And yeah, just carry on loving and enjoying life and being fulfilled, really.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So I will post the links below this video, and I'm sure there'll be a link to say how people can get involved if they want to, and not just with Biodome, but maybe some of the initiatives that you were talking about as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
brilliant. Okay, so one last question, which is,
Yeah.
anything else you want to say before we go?
No, thank you, Julie. It's been great.
It's
Speaking with
been
you.
really fantastic talking to you, Cheyenne. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.